Good morning and welcome to VG Myths, the show where... Wait. Wrong host. Let me see here. Alright, there we go.
In Plants vs. Zombies, you play as a harmless homeowner defending your lawn from your vegan neighbors who want to eat your garden vegetables. So today, we're going to deny them the satisfaction and see if it's possible to beat Plants vs. Zombies without any plants being eaten.
The rules are simple. If a plant at any point gets eaten, we're gonna have to restart the level. Anything else is fair game. For an extra bonus challenge, I'm also going to avoid using defensive plants like the walnut and the pumpkin. Also, any plant with the sole purpose of being planted then disappearing, like the cherry bomb and the doom shroom, is allowed, since I can think of a few instances where it would make the run truly impossible. World 1 is relatively straightforward. Once we get to 1-6, we unlock the potato mine, which is not only a great tool to help set up our plants, but will help us out later in the run. 1-7 gives us the chomper, which is going to be the star of the first few worlds. The main draw of the chomper is that it'll swallow any kind of zombie whole, and the range extends all the way to the square in front of it, meaning we can put the chomper behind another plant and it'll protect the plant from being eaten. 1-10 is our first experience with the ultimate battle mechanic. On the 10th level of every world, we'll get a conveyor belt instead of sun drops. These are generally walks in the parks, but there are a few that might give us trouble later down the line. Also worth noting is that 1-5 is a mini-game level, which is supposed to be kind of a break, but we'll see how that plays out. World 2 is a bit more trouble. The gimmick here is that sun no longer falls from the sky, and we're now supposed to use these mushrooms rather than the plants we've acquired during the daytime. But that's not stopping us. Chomper is still going to be our best friend as a pseudo-defensive option. Our strategy here changes to utilize the mushrooms more than anything else. Once we've amassed a collection of sun, we dig out the back row of sun shrooms for the long-range scaredy shrooms instead. They add more damage and cover the tougher zombies more than anything else. World 2 generally has zombies that pose a bit of an issue, like the football zombie, where the game wants you to use the newly acquired hypno shroom on him, but we just kind of take it in stride. After we climb through the levels and easily pass through the ultimate battle, it's time for World 3. Backyard. The backyard adds an extra row and a pool on the middle two rows. The only difference it makes to our strategy is just costing more to cover the rows and add in the lily pads. After beating the first level, we get the squash, which is a perfect low-cost panic button. Later in the world, we also gain access to the tangle kelp, which will instantly drown a zombie that gets close. Now also might be a good time to mention how sun economy works. Generally, we always want to have at least 150 sun on hands at all times, so if something goes wrong, we have the means to save ourselves and avoid a restart. Whenever you plant a sunflower, it gives off 1 sun after 7 seconds, then 1 sun every 25. So if you time 2 rows of sunflowers correctly, the sun gain will be a constant stream. The mini-game of the backyard is tiny zombies, which are faster but less durable. This is completely RNG. You could get nothing but cherry bombs, or you could get nothing but walnuts. It took me a few restarts to get the proper RNG, but it's possible. Another tactic I used is shoveling up unneeded plants. I didn't use the shovel on plants to save them, as that would ruin the entire point of the challenge, but I did use it on plants that were just sitting there. It'll be a lot more useful later on. 3-6 gives us the spikeweed, which will be useful for the remainder of the world, but after that we're gonna forget about it. Adding on some extra damage at no danger level is extremely important, however. For 3-8 and 3-9, the squash serves as a really good early game tool that allows us to set up, so we get rid of all the low cost stuff like pea shooters and go for the higher damaging repeaters. 3-10 is a cakewalk because of how many torchwood and 3-peaters they actually give. With that out of the way, World 4 is our next target. World 4 is probably my least favorite because of the fog, which obscures our vision for the first few rows. It's a relatively easy stroll until 4-5, which is the vase breaker level. The level would be easy were it not for the fact that they give you hypno shrooms, which turn a zombie to your side if they eat it, but obviously we can't do that. It took me a few tries, but then I figured out that you could just use the lawnmowers instead of actually planting anything. Since we never plant anything, it never gets eaten, and we can easily breeze through the rest of World 4. That is, until 4-10, and 4-10 is the single hardest level in the game, bar none. Not only is it an ultimate battle level, but they give you some of the highest defense zombies and the lowest damaging plants. Not to mention you can only see around 10% of the time, since lightning strikes every now and then illuminating the screen. This level made me want to tear my hair out, and the only saving grace was the pumpkins. Regrettably, I couldn't go the whole run without using defensive items, but without them I think the level is impossible. I tried for ages before giving in. With that said, I did still try to go for the rest of the run without using them. But with World 4 behind us, it's time for the final roadblock that is World 5. World 5 takes place on the roof, which means our normal plants won't fire at a slanted angle. Alongside that, we can only plant in pots that we don't get until we beat the first level. But it isn't all bad news. Potato mines and squashes still function properly even if they're placed in a pot, so we'll be using that to maximum effect. 3-2 gives us the Kernel Pult, which has a 25% chance of firing butter that stuns the zombies in place temporarily. After getting the Kernel Pult, our strategy changes to 2 rows of cabbage and 1 row of buttery goodness. The main issue of the starting levels are the bungee zombies. They drop in and steal a plant, which normally I would allow, but for semantics reasons, I'm gonna have to say no. The saving grace is that we have the jalapeno, which will instantly incinerate an entire row. 5-5 is another last stand level, and the worst part is that you can only attack with chompers. They give you pumpkins, and again, this level would be impossible without them. It takes a few tries, but once you start shoveling up the chompers that are chewing already and replace them with new ones, it'll be a walk in the park. Our new strategy for the remainder of the world revolves around having a defensive line of potato mines, as they're the best defensive option for the final wave where zombies drop in. 5-6 gives us the umbrella leaf, which protects from bungees and catapult. We make use of it a few times when it's needed, but on 5-8 we swap it out for the jalapeno as we meet our first gargantuar. The gargantuar is the only zombie that can tank 2 instant kill plants, and once he's at half health, he'll throw an imp right into the front lines. The main way of dealing with them is by putting a squash down, then a jalapeno once they throw the imp. After 5-8 we get the melon pult, which is easily the most damaging plant in the game. 5-9 takes some thinking, but 2 rows of melons is what worked for me. With the majority of the world out of the way, the final boss has arrived. Zomboss is an insanely difficult fight on his own, but trying to do it without any plants being eaten is a huge task. It's another fight that is mainly down to RNG. Saving up ice shrooms and jalapenos is the main goal here. Zomboss also drops other zombies for you to deal with, and these zombies make up 70% of the fight. He can drop any kind of zombie, including gargantuars. Once again, the main strategy here is saving up enough ice shrooms and jalapenos to both deal with his attacks and the zombies, while also saving up enough catapults to deal damage. When Zomboss starts to glow, it means that he'll just drop everything he has on you. Gargantuars, the whole kitchen sink. I only just managed to scrape by with a surplus of ice shrooms to buy time until I could finish him off. With enough patience and some quick thinking, Zomboss gets taken to the cleaners, we push back the awful vegetarian zombies from our home, listen to a sweet dance number, and with that, the challenge is officially completed. Raw footage, with all my restarts included, can be found in the description down below. Special thanks to GameChamp3K for the inspiration and the voiceover, and I highly recommend you guys try this challenge out for yourself. Plants vs. Zombies is only $5 on Steam, and this challenge really tests your quick thinking and strategizing. Anyways, have a beautiful week, and I will see you all in the future.